Sage Topaz here. I hope everyone is having an amazing day and staying safe. And if your day isn't going so great, well, hopefully this video can cheer you up. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about an old school video game. I mean, it was made in the 2000s, but it's still an old school video game. And that video game is called Fuzion Frenzy. Yes, Fuzion Frenzy. Fuzion Frenzy is one of the funnest games I've ever played. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It is so much fun. It is a party game and it was released on the Xbox. I'm talking like the original old school OG Xbox. That's when it was released. And yeah, they made Fuzion Frenzy 1, Fuzion Frenzy 2. For some reason, I never played Fuzion Frenzy 2, but I always was playing the first Fuzion Frenzy. I love playing Fuzion Frenzy. Oh my goodness, such a fun game. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about Fuzion Frenzy and why it's such an amazing game. And they need to make a Fuzion Frenzy Part 3 for sure. But yeah, so Fuzion Frenzy, it is a party game. It was developed by Blitz Games. It was released in 2001 in North America. Dang, 2001, I'm old. That was a long time ago. So see, it was made in the 2000s, but like I said, it's still an old school game because 2001 is a long time ago. So yeah. So anyway, yes, it was released in 2001 in North America and released in 2002 in Europe, and it was released on the Xbox, like I said, the original Xbox, okay? So yeah, it is a party game and it can be it can be up to 4 players. You can play by yourself. You can play with your friends. You can play with the computer. I don't believe there was online play. So I believe it's just like you either play with people in real life, you know, your siblings, your friends, you know, or you can play with the computer. But it was up to 4 players who participated in the game. And yeah, it was just so much fun. So you can choose, there are different characters in the game. Naomi was one of the characters, and these different characters, they have like their own colors. And so yeah, so one of the characters was Naomi. Her color was orange, and I hated Naomi. I absolutely hated her. She was such an awful person because every time she was just very like, she played dirty. Like every time I was in the final stage, she would always like aim for like, you know, try and take, you know, hit me and take my orbs, and not just me. Like she would do that to other computer characters too as well, you know, like she would always play dirty. So yes, I hated Naomi, like for sure. So she was definitely my worst character. But anyway, yes, so Naomi was one of the characters. You could also play as Samson. He was a black guy and his color was red. You could play as Gina, whose color was blue. Dub, whose color was green. Zach, whose color was yellow. And Jet, whose color was pink. So yeah, so every character had their own colors. And yeah, it was just, so you could pick those characters. Like I said, you could either play with, you know, your friend, you know, your siblings, or you could just, you and the computer could play. So the soundtrack was I really loved the soundtrack of Fuzion Frenzy. Like I said, it was just a really fun game. It was just a fun game. The soundtrack was fun and catchy, and it just kind of set the atmosphere for the funness of the game. Really great soundtrack. So yeah, so how it worked, the modes were, you could either play tournament mode or you could play minigame frenzy. So minigame frenzy was basically like you could just select the different mini games. I think there were so many mini games in Fuzion Frenzy. I think they were like about 45 mini games, I think. So yeah, so if you didn't want to do a tournament and you just wanted to pick a mini game to play, just go to Minigame Frenzy and just like pick one of the many games and you can just play that. So that was one of the modes. And then the other mode was the tournament mode. So tournament mode, basically you could either play like, you know, you could play from 2 to 6 stages. And how it worked, and oh yeah, you chose the difficulty easy, medium, or hard. So how it works is like each stage has different mini games. So you're in one stage, and then I think you play about 3 mini games, and then you go to the final tournament of that stage, and then you move on to the next stage. And then the next stage, you play those mini games again, you go to the final tournament, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, so let's say you pick like 6 stages. Okay, so you play from the first stage, go to the second stage, play the mini games, do the tournament. Third stage, play the mini games, do the tournament. And then the sixth stage, the final stage, you play all those mini games of that stage, get to the final tournament, and then all your points are added up. So the player that ultimately has the most points is the winner of the tournament. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then the different stages, so there were different stages that you could play those mini games. So the stages were the Coliseum, Waterfront, Military Base, Power Station, Outlands, and Downtown. And I don't know if you guys have you guys ever heard of this video game called The Crystal Maze? Man, I love The Crystal Maze. One of my best video game shows ever. Oh my goodness, I love that video game. I love that game show. And they actually remade it. I think they canceled it, but they did a remake of it, and it wasn't as good as the original. But man, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go on the Crystal Maze. But anyway, the Fuzion Frenzy definitely reminds me of the Crystal Maze. Yeah, so like I said, you go to different stages, you play these different games, and so the final tournament, like I said, you're in a stage and then you play these different mini games, you go to the final round, the final tournament. So the final round of Fuzion Frenzy round, it was basically like a battle stage. So you go around the stage, you collect your color orbs, and then you kind of like drop the orbs in a goal. So you can pick up your own color orbs, or you can pick up just like white orbs. And, so you pick up the orbs and you deposit them. Before you play the final stage, you can also gamble. So as you're playing these different mini games, you're winning orbs. And before like the final tournament, so let's say for instance, you have like 25 orbs. Before the final tournament, the final stage, you can gamble like five of your orbs. And so if you want, you can gamble. You don't need to gamble your orbs, but if you want to get even more orbs, you can gamble them if you want to. So yeah, so the final round of each stage, you have to collect as many orbs as you can before time runs out. Like I said, you can either collect your color orbs or the white orbs. You have to avoid the obstacles of this battle stage, and also you have to avoid characters from hitting you and stealing your orbs. And man, it was so annoying because I would try and like collect orbs. I'm just trying to mind my own business. I'm collecting orbs, and then like a character will come and like try and like Naomi. It was mostly Naomi, but it was other characters too. But yeah, you have to be careful because straight up like characters will come, whoop your butt and like steal your orb and deposit them. And like, so yeah, so it was a lot of fun, just trying to collect orbs, trying to steal orbs, and trying to make sure you don't get your butt kicked, and depositing those orbs. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And also, you could, in the stage as well, there were also like different skills, special powers, I guess. So let's say in the stage, you see like a lightning bolt, and if you go up to that lightning bolt and collect it, it would increase your speed. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the mini games, there were so many mini games in Fuzion Frenzy. Oh my goodness. And the mini games were all so much fun. So much fun. One of my favorite games was Pyrotechnician. So what that in real life, I don't like playing with fireworks. I actually hate fireworks in real life. Like, I like looking at fireworks from afar. I think on the TV they look beautiful, but I don't like being near fireworks, So in real life, I don't like playing with fireworks. However, I did enjoy playing with fireworks in Fuzion Frenzy. Okay, so I was living vicariously through Fuzion Frenzy. So so Pyrotechnician was a mini game where basically you have to collect these like barrels to launch fireworks before time runs out. So, the player who launches the most fireworks wins. And of course, you have to be careful because other characters can beat you and steal your barrels. So much violence in this game. But yeah, it was so much fun. I love that stage because it was fun, you know, trying to, you know, collect the barrels before time ran out. And also, as you were playing the stage, the fireworks were going off. So you could hear like the sound of the fireworks. You could see the fireworks going off. You know, I love that stage. So much fun. So much fun. Yeah, and the fireworks were just lighting up the sky as you were playing. Another mini game, for instance, was tube tremors. So tube tremor. I can't talk. Tube tremors. So tube tremors is a mini game. So basically, that was also another fun game too. So basically, you have like this big hammer, and like you're in a train station, and you have to hit as many bugs as you can, and they're like bug guts everywhere. It's really gross, but it's really fun. So as you're hitting the bugs, you have to make sure you hit the bugs, as many bugs before time runs out. And also you have to avoid getting hit by a train. So, you know, the person who hits the most, you know, splats the most bugs wins. Another one of my favorite games was Sumo. Sumo was one of my favorite games. So basically you're like in this ball that you drive, and you're kind of like in this platform, right? And you're in this like ball. So you're driving this ball. You're on top of this circular platform. So as time is running out, the platform is kind of like breaking apart, right? So the time is running out. The platform is breaking. So basically you have to be the last person standing on the platform. So you can try and knock your opponents out. And under the platform was water. So what you try to do is you try to knock your opponents in the water. And of course, try not to, you know, fall down as the platform is breaking apart. So that was so much fun too. And one of the, even they'll tell you in the game, like a strategy is to try and stay in the middle, because again, the rest of the platform is like breaking apart. So if you stay in the middle, like you have a better chance of not falling off of the platform. So that was a fun game. Another mini game was Twisted System. So Twisted System, basically you're like on this track, and this track is going round and around. You're just walking around and around, and it starts off slow and it keeps getting faster and faster. And you have to basically jump or duck and try not to hit like these rods. So it just goes quick. Like it starts off slow. It's like, oh, this is what a nice brisk walk. And then all of a sudden, oh shoot, duck, duck, jump, and then it just keeps going and going and going and going. And yes, so the person who gets the most damage loses. The person who does not, who sustains the least damage is the winner. So Twisted System was a fun but difficult game because, like I said, it went quick, really, really quick. It started off slow and then goes like really quick. So this was another mini game. It's called Blast Man Standing, and that game annoyed me because basically you're on these platforms, and like these like rockets are falling from the sky. So you have to pick up these rockets and like throw them to your opponent. So you have to basically make sure that the rocket doesn't explode on your platform, and whoever gets damaged the most, whether yourself or your platform, the rockets the damage the most, the player is out. So basically, the platform gets destroyed if you get the most damage. But yeah, that mini game annoyed me because, you know, you're like freaking out. You get these rockets and you're like, oh shoot, and you're like throwing it to your opponent. Then your opponent throws the rocket to you and you're like, ah, and then you throw it back. So it was a lot of like throwing back and forth with rockets and trying not to get hit by the rockets. Yeah, so that was an annoying but fun game. Momentum is probably another one of my favorite games, mini games. So Momentum, basically you're in a ball, you're driving a ball, and you're basically like going around this stage, and you know, like there are these like spots on the ground that light up. So the goal is to basically go when the floor spots light up, you have to roll to those spots to get points. And of course, you know, you have opponents that are trying to knock you out the way, trying to get to those points. So you know, you have to knock your opponents out of the way. Your opponents are knocking you out of the way. So basically you're just kind of like rolling to these lit up spots on the floor trying to get points. And it was so much fun. And whenever you hit those lit up spots on the floor, like your ball would like shoot up. It was so much fun. It was a really fun mini game. So yeah, so that's just one of the many examples of the mini games. There were so many more mini games in Fusion Frenzy. I would play that game for hours. Like, man, I love playing Fusion Frenzy. It was so, like I said, it was just purely entertainment, just a fun, family-friendly game. I could never get tired of playing it. And doing my research, I was actually really surprised that it didn't get great reviews. So apparently, I'm offended that this game did not have like stellar reviews. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, GameSpot gave Fusion Frenzy a 6.7 out of 10. Of Edge, a video game magazine, gave Fusion Frenzy a 3 out of 10. Yikes. Game Revolution gave Fusion Frenzy a C+. Game Informer gave Fusion Frenzy a 6 out of 10. IGN actually gave Fusion Frenzy a good review. So IGN gave Fusion Frenzy 8.3 out of 10. Thank you, IGN. Thank you. At least a video game reviewer that has common sense. So thank you, IGN, for giving them a good review, because they definitely, I'm surprised. Like, you know, when I was doing my research for this video, I was shocked to see that the Fusion Frenzy didn't have better reviews. I mean, the graphics were amazing. It was colorful. It was lively. It was fun. There was a lot of replayability value. So yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, it definitely should have had better reviews by video game critics. But apparently, they were supposed to release a sequel. So Microsoft planned to release a sequel in June of 2004, but it got canceled. And this was due to, and then I quote, weak initial sales performance. And I got this from Wikipedia. So apparently, I'm surprised it had weak sales, which I'm surprised because, oh my goodness, such an amazing game. But so over the years, Fusion Frenzy sales increased. And because the sales of the game increased, Microsoft was like, oh, okay, we can actually invest in a sequel. So Microsoft gave the go ahead for a sequel, but they decided to give the rights, you know, instead of Blitz Games to develop Fusion Frenzy 2, it was this video game developing company called Hudson Soft. So Hudson Soft took over. And in 2007, Fusion Frenzy 2 was released for the Xbox 360. And yeah, I just never played Fusion Frenzy 2. So yeah, I never played it. But I checked out the reviews for the game, and it got even worse reviews. So Eurogamer gave Fusion Frenzy 2 a 3 out of 10. Game Informer gave Fusion Frenzy 2 a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Ew. Official Xbox magazine gave Fusion Frenzy 2 a 4 out of 10. And IGN, they gave Fusion Frenzy 1 good reviews. It actually gave the part 2 a not so great review. So IGN gave Fusion Frenzy 2 a 6 out of 10. Dang. So yeah, Fusion Frenzy 2 did not have good reviews at all. But hopefully, I'm really hoping that they make a Fusion Frenzy free. I'm so excited. I will be so excited to see Fusion Frenzy free in this with these new generation of graphics. So hopefully Microsoft can give Fusion Frenzy another chance, you know, maybe give it to another developer that can do a better job. You know, I hope they can release a Fusion Frenzy free on the Xbox Series X and S. Maybe they can even release Fusion Frenzy free on the PlayStation 5, you know, just kind of expand it to other consoles, you know. So it'd be cool if they made Fusion Frenzy free for the PlayStation 5 or the Nintendo Switch, you know. So yeah, so I'm actually gonna check and see if I can, like, because you know Microsoft, they have like games. You can play Microsoft games online. So I'm gonna see if I can actually find Fusion Frenzy and like download it on my computer, like because Microsoft has like access to different games. So I'm gonna look and see if Fusion Frenzy is actually available in the Microsoft gaming store. I hope so, because I haven't played that game in years, but man, do I remember it. I played it for years. Absolutely love that game. So much fun. One of the best party games. And if you have not played Fusion Frenzy, if you have an Xbox, definitely buy it. Definitely buy it and play it and experience it, because it is definitely worth playing. It is Fusion Frenzy, like I said, one of the best video games I've ever played in my life. If you want to have a fun party game experience, definitely check out Fusion Frenzy for sure. So yeah, so that's my review on Fusion Frenzy. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it cheered you up if you're in a bad mood. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.